I'm Mike Porter. I'm an NGA natural bodybuilding pro. Got to come work out with my buddy Jeff today, so that was kind of cool. We try to get together whenever I'm competing once a year or once every other year. Or we're going to do a fishing trip here coming up this summer. But yeah, we just came down and did a back workout. I'm competing in the NGA Kentucky show, which is going to be 4 weeks from this Saturday. So it's getting pretty close, getting down to the wire.
Current height, weight, bud?
Currently, I'm 5'10", and currently I weigh right around 184, 185 pounds. So we'll see what I come in at. It's gonna all depend on what my coach has me keep changing or how I look. We're not gonna worry about the scale. We're gonna worry about how I look. So.
Because you don't have a weight class in your right? It's just open.
Yeah, there's no weight classes once you get to the natural pro arena. It's just everybody versus everybody. So, yep.
Okay. Tell us a little about your show history, bud.
Show history. I've competed, I think this will be my 19th show. I turned natural pro 4 or 5 years ago. I think I've done 5 pro shows and, protein shake. The worst I've finished is 4th place. My last 3 shows I took 2nd in every one of them. So that 1st place has just eluded me. So I'm hoping this year with I hired Cliff Wilson as a coach, and he's a phenomenal coach. We really tweaked some different things, but I'm hoping to, with the 3 shows that I'm doing Kentucky, Philadelphia, as well as Peoria, Illinois. They're all NGA shows. I'm hoping to hopefully win a first this year. So that's kind of what the goal is. But the biggest goal is really not to win first. It's to make sure I bring the best package I've ever brought. So I feel I'm already there. So in my mind, I'm already winning, but you just can't control who shows up. So that's kind of is what it is.
Okay, so go ahead and take us through your workout today, bud. What you trained and the movements and what you like.
What we did today was a back workout with some traps and some biceps. So I started off with doing some deadlifts, and we did kind of a power day, I guess, high rep day. So I started off with 5 sets of 5 reps at 410, just trying to work on controlled movements, working on flexing the muscle, making sure I felt it all the way through as opposed to just moving the weight. You want to have that mind-muscle connection. That really is important for especially getting ready for a show. After the deadlifts, we moved into a cable row. And again, we did some high reps. I did 3 by 15 was the goal. I ended up failing on the 3rd set, which I guess is good. That means I'm doing enough weight if I'm failing. So cable rows. After that, we moved into lat pull down. And again, this was high rep again. I did 3 sets of 15 was the goal. And I think I did 15, then 14, then 12. So again, it was working out till failure, but also keeping in mind to work on form and getting a good squeeze all the way through. After that, we did a incline dumbbell row. And again, this one is really high rep. The goal is 3 by 30. And I think I was using 45 pounds, and I think my rep range was 25, 23, 21, somewhere in that range. And those ones really just fire up the back. After that, I did close grip lat pull down. And again, that was 3 by 30 is the goal. And I started off a little light with 90 pounds, and I think I got 30, and then I bumped it up to 100, and it definitely dropped after that. The cool part about this back workout is you start off with the deadlifts, and you move to cable rows, lat pull downs. It's hitting a different muscle group with each of the exercises, so you can feel it in the lower back when you're doing deadlifts. Then we move to the cable rows, you can feel it in the center of your back. Then you move to the lat pull downs, you feel it in the outer lats. Then you move to the incline rows, and it's kind of we'll call it almost the center, but again, it's a little different than the cable rows. And then the close grip lat pull downs is kind of the top of the traps. So it hits every part of the muscle, you really feel it well. It's a great back workout. After that, we moved to shrugs just to kind of finish off the whole back workout. And I did 3 sets. The goal is 30. I think I started off with 70 pounds. I got 30. Then I jumped it up to 85. Not sure if I got 30, but higher rep range. And then I actually moved to a bar where we just kind of did an overhand grip, narrow grip. And again, I think I did 20 of them. Then I switched to an underhand grip just to give a little bit different motion. where I would pull it up as far as I could just to get a great range of motion, flexing the muscle, and just completely fatigue the whole back. After that, we moved into biceps. And again, this is a high rep, low weight day where you're really concentrating on your form. So I was using I think it's a 25-pound bar with, or maybe it's a 15-pound bar with 25-pound weights on each side. And the goal is 4 by 15 reps is what I was shooting for. I got like 15, 15, 12, 11. So again, I definitely hit that fatigue or the failure point, which is good because that means I'm doing enough weight again. And keeping in mind, really working on the form, really working on squeezing that bicep at the top to make sure we get that full, so you're recruiting every muscle fiber possible. After that, we moved into the huge weight where we were curling 20-pound dumbbells for impressing everybody in the gym. And again, the goal is 4 by anywhere from 15 through 30 reps. And I think I started off in the mid-20s. I think it was 21. And then it dropped down to 18 or 17, and then 16, and then 15. And again, these are just it's a slow concentration motion where you're really just working on fully fatiguing the muscle. You want to go all the way down, all the way up, really flexing the muscle all the way to make sure we're just finishing off everything. And then after that, we moved into just some posing. So that was pretty much the workout. Probably took an hour and 20 minutes or so. But yeah, that's kind of what we did today.
So, hey, but during your off season this past year, you took last year off. What were your main goals during that off season? Was there anything specific you were working on? Or?
This off season, I guess I did something I've never done in the past. I got a lot more serious as far as preparing for this year. I hired a coach, first of all, which was Cliff Wilson, a phenomenal coach. And he moved me from a different diet structure that I've ever done, and we did a macros diet. So we did an off-season diet where we were building my metabolism starting in August. So we basically would add carbs each week and just try and build that metabolism before November. And November was where I was starting my cut. But he put me on a workout plan, which was there was some high reps and some low reps and some different exercises I hadn't done. But it was, no drinking. It was really, you had to hit your numbers. So I was very, very serious this off season as opposed to just being more lackadaisical and just kind of going through the motions. So I think it's really greatly helped me, and we'll see what the stage brings. But there's definitely going to be some good changes in my legs, my lower back, my lats. I think I've just filled out and got a little more separations and striations everywhere.
What's your weight difference going into this show as compared to your last show you did?
Well, 2 years ago when I did a show, I looked my best at my second show where I weighed 180 going into that day. As of this morning, I was 185, and I feel like I'm already quite a bit leaner, especially like in the glutes and hamstrings, which is where I was a little bit soft. So I've definitely put some weight on. We'll see what the actual weight comes in at when I get to the show, but I can definitely tell I've definitely put on a little bit of size. So any weight is just an advantage for me, and I should look better.
Okay. How did you originally get involved in the industry, Bud? What kind of drove you into it?
What kind of drove me into it was, I'd always been athletic and always done sports, and I was done. I'm in college, and what's the next thing that I can do? What's going to push me? I wanted something that had something difficult, first of all, which obviously bodybuilding is very difficult. You've got the dieting aspect, you've got the posing, you've got a whole bunch of stuff. But I was just kind of looking for something difficult. When I moved from Grand Rapids up northern Michigan, the gym that I joined in Grayling, he had competed in bodybuilding for 20 years. And he basically said, why don't you do bodybuilding? Why don't you give it a try? And he knew I was natural. I've always been 100% natural. And so he just kept pressuring me, saying, hey, why don't you try it? Why don't you try it? And so finally I said, all right, let's do it. And I guess the thing I really, really liked about it was the challenge. It's just you have a goal set. So basically it's 15, 18 weeks out. So you know where you need to be. And it's really difficult. So that's kind of what got me into it, and I loved it. The first show I did, I won. Second show I did, I think I took second place. So then I was kind of hooked. So ever since then, I did NPC shows for quite a while. Did very well, and then I kind of wanted to move to the natural arena and go compete against people that were kind of in my own arena. So then I moved to the NGA, and
Just so people know too, but I've known you probably for about 4 years, and even though you're a natural athlete, I've never heard you talk anyone down. Like if anyone wants to compete in any organization, you've never, you're cool with that, right? You don't.
yeah, I have no problems at all. I enjoyed competing against people in the NPC, and it's kind of cool, the bodybuilding world. For the most part, everybody is really cool. Everybody's worked really, really hard to get to the point where they're at. So they're cool backstage. The camaraderie is really neat. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't put anybody down. If they wanted to go that route, that's fine with me. I just chose to go a different route.
Okay, but one thing for people who are just starting out and stuff, could you talk a little more in depth about the mind-muscle connection? Because a lot of people don't know what that is if they're just starting off, kind of.
Sure. Yeah, the mind-muscle connection was something that it's difficult for everybody to really learn when they're starting. And the biggest thing I can say is, people just get in there and they want to move as much weight as possible, which is probably the worst thing you can do. If you can slow down and you really want to make that mind-muscle connection where you can actually feel all the muscle fibers, so you're really, really stressing your form as well as flexing the muscle. You want to feel that muscle fiber flex. It should be fatiguing. You're not just moving the muscle, you're moving the weight. So that's the biggest thing that I try to tell a lot of young people that come up and ask me questions. How do you get so big, or how do you get so lean? And it's just, you got to slow down, not worry about what other people think, and really work on form, concentration, and feel that muscle flex all the way.
Okay, so is it a full contraction then, like you actually do as you do your training and stuff? Or?
Yeah, I would say I do I tried it. Obviously, sometimes I cheat like everybody else, but my goal is to really work on form, and that's one thing I've done this year is really concentrate on a lot of higher reps. I'm also doing some heavier weights, but really working on form, flexing the muscle, and I've really seen some good benefits from that this year.
Well, you've definitely made improvements since I've known you. You look a lot improved this year. I think you're going to do well. Is there anyone you'd like to thank, bud?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank my wife. Obviously, she has to put up with me. She's not competing this year, so she's helped me with food prep. She's helped me with just encouragement. That's obviously been she's my rock. She helps me. I'd like to thank Cliff Wilson. He's done a phenomenal job with my diet, with training protocol. He basically tells me what my macros are, what my training program is. If I have questions, he helps me out with that. The diet, the tanning, basically every aspect. So he's been a great asset, and I've learned a ton from that. One thing I've learned is you're never going to quit learning. You get the time you think you know it all is when you're not going to improve. So there's always more to learn. And obviously thank Jeff. Jeff, obviously, we try to work together as much as possible. There's a distance barrier, but he's been a great buddy of mine and came up and shot Susan at my wedding a couple of years ago. So, and friends and family, obviously everybody's pretty encouraging because it's a total lifestyle change. That's the most difficult part. You don't go out to the bar. You don't go hang out very much because it's not fun. You're dieting. They're out eating a bunch of food you can't eat, and you're eating your chicken or your venison or anything like that. So it's a complete lifestyle change, and you have to have that support structure. Otherwise, it's very, very difficult.